Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Caitlin, and in celebration of Banned Books Week, I'm going to be reading from my favorite book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, which has been challenged due to the fear of promotion of witchcraft. And she pulled out the Tales of Beetle the Bard from the small beaded bag. "The original?" inquired Xenophilius sharply, and when she nodded, he said, "Well then, why don't you read it out loud? Much the best to make sure we all understand." All right," said Hermione nervously. She opened the book, and Harry saw that the symbol they were investigating had at the top of the page as she gave a little cough and began to read. "There were once 3 brothers who were traveling along a lonely, winding road at twilight. Midnight, our mom always told us," said Ron, who had stretched out arms behind his head to listen. Hermione shot him a look of annoyance. "Sorry, I just think it's a bit spookier if it's midnight," said Ron. "Yeah, because we really need a bit more fear in our lives," said Harry before he could stop himself. Xenophilius did not seem to be paying much attention, but was staring out of the window at the sky. "Go on, Hermione." In time, the brothers reached a river too deep to wade through and too dangerous to swim across. However, these brothers were learned in the magical arts, and so they simply waved their wands and made a bridge appear across the treacherous water. They were halfway across it when they found their path blocked by a hooded figure, and Death spoke to them. "Sorry," interjected Harry, "but Death spoke to them? It's a fairy tale, Harry." "Right, sorry, go on." And Death spoke to them. He was angry that he had been cheated out of the three new victims, for travelers usually drowned in the river. But Death was cunning. He pretended to congratulate the 3 brothers upon their magic, and said that each had earned a prize for having been clever enough to evade him. So the oldest brother, who was a combative man, asked for a wand more powerful than any in existence, a wand that must always win duels for its owner, a wand worthy of a wizard who had conquered death. So Death crossed to an elder tree on the banks of the river, fashioned a wand from a branch that hung there, and gave it to the oldest brother. Then the second brother, who was an arrogant man, decided that he wanted to humiliate Death still further, and asked for the power to recall others from death. So Death picked up a stone from the riverbank and gave it to the second brother, and told him that the stone would have the power to bring back the dead. And then Death asked the third and youngest brother what he would like. The youngest brother was the humblest and also the wisest of the brothers, and he did not trust Death. So he asked for something that would enable him to go forth from that place without being followed by Death. And Death most unwillingly handed over his own cloak of invisibility. "Death's got an invisibility cloak?" Harry interrupted again. "So he can sneak up on people," said Ron. "Sometimes he gets bored of running at them, flapping his arms and shrieking." "Sorry, Hermione." Then Death stood aside and allowed the 3 brothers to continue on their way, and they did so, talking with wonder of the adventure they had had, and admiring Death's gifts. In due course, the brothers separated, each for his own destination. The first brother traveled on for a week or more, and reaching a distant village, sought out a fellow wizard with whom he had a quarrel. Naturally, with the elder one as his weapon, he could not fail to win the duel that followed. Leaving his enemy dead upon the floor, the oldest brother proceeded to an inn, where he boasted loudly of the powerful wand he had snatched from Death himself, and of how it had made him invincible. That very night, another wizard crept upon the oldest brother as he lay, wine-sodden, upon his bed. The thief took the wand and for good measure slit the oldest brother's throat, and so Death took the first brother for his own. Meanwhile, the second brother journeyed to his own home, where he lived alone. Here he took out the stone that had the power to recall the dead, and turned it thrice in his hand. To his amazement and his delight, the figure of the girl he had once hoped to marry before her untimely death appeared at once before him. Yet she was sad and cold, separated from him as by a veil. Though she had returned to the mortal world, she did not truly belong there, and suffered. Finally, the second brother, driven mad with hopeless longing, killed himself so as truly to join her. And so Death took the second brother for his own. But though Death searched for the third brother for many years, he was never able to find him. It was only when he had attained a great age that the youngest brother finally took off the cloak of invisibility and gave it to his son, and he greeted Death as an old friend, and went with him gladly, and equals they departed this life.